Unfortunately, the guy who made this electric car tax, the person responsible for it has fled the government. He's retired to escape some of the consequences of the decision that he made. The world's worst electric car tax, which was repealed and banned by the federal government of Australia, has now resulted in some pretty serious consequences for the Victorian government. Taxes have to be paid and motorists have to be refunded because this tax was proven to be illegal. In the state of Victoria, this is a pretty big deal right now because the government is struggling to pay its bills. It's fired nearly 50% of its entire public service over the past 3 years because it's in a pretty dire financial situation. It even tried to get loans, secret loans from the Chinese government. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm Sam Evans. You're watching the Electric Viking. Now, if you're wondering what I'm talking about here in terms of the loans, secret loans from the Chinese government, it was actually done. The Victorian government got a thing called Belt and Road. It signed up a Belt and Road thing from China, which was apparently illegal according to the federal government of Australia. And that was a way for it to try and get some funding to help pay its bills. And one of the reasons why it's struggling is because it's invested too much into, stupid technology or stupid things. But anyway, that's besides the point. I want to tell you about what's happened here. Unconstitutional tax. The world's worst electric car tax has been repealed. The Victorian government has to repay millions of dollars to motorists, and it has to pay back taxes. Owners of EVs and of plug-in hybrids who paid the state's unlawful road user charge and in fact were fined for not correctly filling out the details on this tax, they will have to be reimbursed with interest. The Victorian government will repay millions of dollars in taxes to electric vehicle owners who paid these unlawful charges before they were abolished in October 2023. And it wasn't the government wanting to do this. The government was forced to do this by a couple of legends. I'm talking just a few people got together and said, this is illegal, this is unconstitutional, we're going to take on the Victorian government. They took them on and they won. In addition to the fees themselves, owners will receive interest on the payments they made, with the process expected to take months to complete. So it's going to cost them millions of dollars to fight this case in court, which is our money. We paid these taxes and then they fight this in court. It's going to cost them probably millions of dollars to go through all these payments, to sort them out, to work out how much they owe everyone. And it's going to cost them millions in back taxes and interest fees. Crazy. Victorian Treasurer Tim Pallas announced the government will follow through on the recommendation to reimburse drivers of electric vehicles who paid the zero emissions vehicle charge. They call it a charge, but it's a tax, before a landmark High Court ruling declared the charges were unconstitutional and illegal. We're now going through a process of identifying who it is that we need to rebate, and we'll go through the process of making those rebates. Apparently, they're actually struggling to figure out who they need to rebate. They just took the money and didn't write down. Maybe they should just grab a pen and paper if you don't know how to use a computer and just write it down. But I'm joking here, but it's strange to me. But what is even crazier about this story is the way that this was done, because people tried to actually do the right thing and pay these taxes, but some people were having some issues with their logbooks. They didn't quite fill it out the right way. And hundreds of people were fined for not doing it the right way. And in fact, they even lost their licenses. Incredible. I think we've even decided to be sufficiently generous, said the Victorian government, albeit there isn't an obligation to pay interest. We'll pay interest on the retention of those funds. So the government is saying the fact they're paying interest on those funds means they're being really generous. We're helping you out. Don't worry, guys. We're going to do you a solid here. We're going to pay you back what we owe you. We're going to pay interest on what we stole from you. Wow, thanks so much, Victorian government. This is making me feel wonderful. Anyway, this news comes sooner than expected. VicRoads told owners who paid the charges in October 2023 that a fully considered response would take months to consider. By the way, VicRoads, the Victorian basically road body, is no longer owned by the government. They sold that off. So Victoria doesn't even own its own roads body. That's true, by the way. So basically this privatised road system in Victoria now said, it's going to take us, a long time to work out if we owe you money. But then basically the court said, no, you can't do this soon. You don't have years to do this. That's illegal. The road user tax came into effect on the 1st of July 2021, and it charged owners of electric cars a fee on every kilometre they travelled. And they had to fill out logbooks for every single trip they did to prove where they'd gone, how many Ks they'd done, if they'd gone interstate, etc. This added to the already controversial charges with increased fees, and they outstripped consumer price index rises. So what they did is they instituted this tax, and then they raised the tax even more than the cost of inflation. A wave of complaints resulted in the Victorian Ombudsman to call for the money forked out to drivers to be repaid, saying a lack of research by the state government was a result of the implementation of this policy. And this is what you do when you're desperate. When you're a state government, you don't have money, you try and raise it, and you don't think about the consequences. That was prior to the successful High Court challenge, where 4 different judges declared the road user charge was unlawful and unconstitutional in a landmark ruling, saying it was basically illegal. But this issue created huge tension. I mean, here's the thing. It dissuaded people from buying electric cars. It clearly did, because adoption of EVs in Victoria was much lower than in other eastern states. Clearly, people were put off by this whole road user tax, and it has hurt EV adoption. That's what I think we all knew would happen. I said it would happen, I know that many of you guys did as well. And of course, that's exactly what happened. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Bye-bye.